On 4 News starts now.
A significant United States Supreme Court ruling today that reduces federal oversight of discrimination at voting polls.
In a 5-4 decision Tuesday, the U.S. Supreme Court effectively invalidated a key provision of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Critics argued specific sections are now outdated and no longer necessary.
The South is not the same South it was in 1964. The whole country has changed.
I'm telling you, I have been saying to black people, this is a declaration of war. What we should see is the largest black voter mobilization effort since the Voting Rights Act was passed in 1965, as well as since the presidential election of Obama in 2008. The only way to battle this, the only way to beat them is to destroy them, crush them at the ballot box.
Via Isaac Hayes III. After this week, this whole lesser of two evils talk from black men about voting Democrat is shut the F down. Nah, bruh, zip it. Hillary was right, Kamala was right, and you all were wrong.
I want something for my community. I would love to see
Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none.
As for the act of voting itself, I urge voting rights groups in this country to begin to redouble their efforts now to register and educate voters.
Huge chunks of us, citizens, just give away our power. We'd rather complain than do something about it. We won't vote, and then we'll talk about the terrible political process that isn't doing anything. The bottom line is everybody here has a part to play. Members of Congress need to do the right thing.
Doctor, this is the mayor talking.
All right, all right.
State legislators and governors, they need to do the right thing.
And June should be a month of action on Capitol Hill. I hear all the folks on TV saying, why doesn't Biden get this done? Well, because Biden only has a majority of effectively 4 votes in the House and a tie in the Senate, with 2 members of the Senate who vote more with my Republican friends. But we're not giving up.
The specifics of the Voting Rights Act the justices were asked to evaluate empower the federal government to use a formula for determining which states require oversight. They also allow the Justice Department or courts to block discriminatory changes to voting laws at the local and state level. As part of its ruling, the court agreed the current formula is antiquated and Congress must now reevaluate the process for determining which states and localities require federal supervision.
Earlier this year, the House of Representatives passed For the People Act to protect our democracy. The Senate will take it up later this month, and I'm going to fight like heck with every tool at my disposal for its passage. The House is also working on the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, which is critical to providing new legal tools to combat the new assault on the right to vote. To signify the importance of our efforts, today I'm asking Vice President Harris to help these efforts and lead them among her many other responsibilities. With her leadership and your support, we're going to overcome again, I promise you, but it's going to take a hell of a lot of work.
Mr. President, as we watch the way you take actions on these things that you talk about, you take legal means, legal actions. The Attorney General is suing the state of Texas over voter ID. He's talking about rolling back mandatory minimum sentences. And at the same time, the Supreme Court seems to be heading in the opposite direction. Right. How do you get done what you say you want to get done in leveling that playing field?
Well, I would distinguish between civil rights issues, voting rights issues, some of the core legal protections that came about in 1964. In those areas, it's true that we've had some opinions, the most prominent one being the case where the Roberts Court struck down a key segment of the Voting Rights Act, where we just have to try a whole range of approaches to make up for those decisions. So I will be working with people like John Lewis and reaching out to both Republicans and Democrats in Congress to see if Congress is prepared to amend the Voting Rights Act to ensure that people are not being prevented from voting. But Congress doesn't move real quickly around here, And if we can go ahead and move administratively so that our Attorney General can go ahead in jurisdictions that seem to be intent on preventing people from voting and that have a racial element to it, even though largely it's probably for partisan reasons, then we need to go ahead and enforce the law. And the Voting Rights Act has a number of tools. Section 4, which was struck down, was not the only tool available.
Doctor,
Come on, what?
always do the right thing.
What message do you want to say to your unborn child? My first abortion, I was in college. I found out that he had a whole girlfriend back home the day after my abortion. And so I bust through the center, and I think I took the phone and I bust him in his head. I just broke down. I just had an abortion yesterday. Nobody knew because I did it on my own. I chose not to have a child in that moment because guess what a child is? Evidence of some shit that happened. If it's not here, it didn't happen. Every year after that, I got pregnant around the same time. So it was almost like, did you learn?
In the group chat, we are going to be talking about something we actually agree on.
Finally.
Folks. That is the Met Gala. It is the stage for actually some of the most interesting power struggles of our time. We've got class. We've got politics. We've got racial politics, okay? Racism, one could argue. We've got taste politics.
Yeah, because just because you got money doesn't mean you have taste.
Do y'all remember when Justice Scalia died in February of 2016? And the Republicans blocked the president's nomination, President Obama's nomination, to fill that vacancy for nearly a year by making up an entirely new standard that there be no confirmations of the court during an election year. But then, when Justice Ginsburg died in 2020, Republicans rushed through the President Trump's nominee at the very same time votes are being cast in an election that Trump would lose. It's outrageous.
Did y'all see Rachel last night? Oh, my God.
We are now about 16 months into what has been from day one a concerted and intense targeting of Black Americans, specifically by this president.
The first half of her show was dedicated to...
Talk about it.
It was unbelievable.
About how Black people are under attack in this country. Rachel Maddow. Okay.
Rachel Maddow broke my brain, telling me what I already instinctively knew, intellectually understood.
We gonna put it in so
but
people
the
can
real
hear it.
numbers, like the real crisis that is facing Black people specifically under this Trump administration.
That's an ally.
That's an ally. That's an ally.
One day, I wish that liberals could actually deal with the racism that they have towards Black people, Black women in particular. I really wish that y'all would just work that out, because that's your real problem. You did not vote for Kamala Harris, or Kamala Harris did not win the election because y'all did not want a Black woman as the president of the United States. That's why. Internalized racism, bitch. That's why. It is not because she did not say genocide. Because if that's your one issue, you're not concerned about your cost of living. You're not concerned about the war in Iran. You're not concerned about voting rights. You're not concerned about the immigrants that have been deported. You're not concerned by the people or about the people who have been murdered at the hands of ICE. You're not concerned about any of that. That's how I know what y'all saying is absolute bullshit.
I'm not one to talk about politics a lot, especially outside of election season, but the talk about this Supreme Court decision is irritating me for one particular reason. And it's that in 2013, they knew this was coming. And by they, I mean the Democrats. And so during each of the election cycles, what were we seeing in these elections?
To welcome to the stage at the Harris for President campaign rally, Atlanta style, the three-time Grammy Award-winning superstar and philanthropist. Everybody go crazy right now for Megg the Stallion!
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you getting information right now?
Hot sauce.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't Black.
I'm a savage.
Vote for Mr. Harris.
Now, listen, I just want you to know, people are going to see this and say, okay, she's pandering to Black people again.
Okay. Is it working?
Make some noise for Mr. Harris. our future president.
Is it working?
I'm a savage.
Vote for Miss Barrett.
If you give a fuck about people, all of those things that I mentioned would be important to you. And you would be able to say, you know what? Trump is a son of a bitch. And I know that Jill Stein will never win a motherfucking election. Why the fuck would I give my vote to her? That's splitting the motherfucking vote. And let's not even talk about the bitches who did not even participate in the motherfucking election, because that's really what the fuck happened. Y'all did not get out and fucking vote democratically, okay? You did not get up and do your motherfucking job. And I'm talking about liberals in particular, the Wahites.
The real crisis that is facing Black people specifically under this Trump administration.
That's an ally. We're in the middle of something really radical in this country. Not just to get rid of our constitutional republic, to replace our form of government with something else, but to get rid of the multiracial democracy that our Constitution is supposed to protect. It is a war on Black America. The fight to save it is looking like it's going to be the fight of all of our lives.
Right? And yet, and I'm just going to say, and yet, ellipses, dot. Because it's not really about filling in the blanks. There's always a fill-in. There's always something more that could be said. There's always more personal protest that we could make. You know, people talk about the billionaire class, but when I think about B&J, I think about royalty. I think about Black family united in a way that we haven't seen on the global stage in this way, celebrated.
And in a time where they're trying to take us back.
Right. In a time when they're trying to take us back.
We don't get to show up in spaces and places
in a time
like
where
this.
hyper-capitalism has been, listen, this has been the law of the land forever.
I can remember back in my high school days when it seemed like I had a mountain of homework and I didn't know where to start. Under the advice of my father, he told me, you need to do your homework in the order of its urgency. And so what was most important got done first. And what was second most urgent got done second. And that's the way I always tackle very complex issues. What is the most important, most pertinent thing? When you listen to these conversations from the Democrat Party, it seems like everything is important. We've been talking about abortion and women's reproductive rights and taxed rich and all of these different things. There was no singular focus on this issue that they knew was going to be an issue down the road, which is the Voting Rights Act. You heard Barack Obama talking about it in 2013 when they struck down, I believe, the fourth part of it. And now it's a second part that's under attack today. And the Democrats knew this day was coming. And so why do you have rallies and people twerking and talking about hot sauce and vote for me, you ain't black? But on the other hand, it's, oh, my hands are tied. We're doing as much as we can, but Congress can't do anything. And I got to hope that you guys come out and vote for us. I don't understand how we get to a position where it's go out, vote for us, and hope for the best. Because that's essentially what it's been. And now you're seeing this reaction of, well, if black men had voted a certain way, things would be okay. I'm looking at what I'm seeing on my television screen, and it looks to me like the Democrats don't really want to do the right thing, or at least the thing that they're saying is the right thing. Why are you twerking at rallies? Why are you talking about hot sauce? Why are you not starting every rally saying this is about the Voting Rights Act? If we don't do X, Y, and Z, we don't have any choice but to let this country be run by another party, because that's essentially what it was. And watching the last 20 years of just Democrat behavior, I just shake my head. It's not like I like the Republicans. It's not really about Republicans, Democrats. If I want to win the match, if I want to win the game, I do what I got to do to win the game. That's what the Republicans did when they sent Amy Coney Barrett through to the Supreme Court. They're about winning. And the Democrats are about, I don't even know what it is. So talk about abortion and the way you can mate and who can get married and tax rich. Look, if this is about all of that, then say it's about all of that. But don't come crying when it's about the Voting Rights Act. Because it wasn't about that at the rallies when you had Megg the Stallion twerking. I just shake my head at it because it's like a television show. And it just, I don't get it. If it's about Voting Rights Act, please act on it. Otherwise, you're playing in our face. And I hate to say it, but that's what it really looks like. Anyways, Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you next video. Take care, guys.